I don't think anyone's crashed out harder in the past week on X than Dan Bongino, the former deputy FBI director. And that's pretty crazy to say because you would think it would be someone that would be a degenerate like Hassan Piker or some radical liberal leftist right now with the tensions going on in Minnesota. But no, it's someone in the FBI that just now quit after a mere 9 months with reasons ungiven. So we're going to go through Dan Bongino and everything that we know about him stepping down and why he has oddly made it his mission to target the black pillars, such as Matt Gaetz, Dave Smith, and podcasters who have been critical of him and the Trump administration and apparently aren't appreciative enough of everything they've done for us, which I'm saying that sarcastically because this administration has let us down in more ways than one. And I think the most obvious one is bombing Iran and the Epstein files. But pertaining to Dan Bongino and what he's accountable here for, and that is the Epstein files themselves. So he tries to take credit for Operation Summer Heat and all the drug traffickers and criminals they've arrested, which I'll say good for them. There's 8,000 people they arrested in the summer. If that's all he has to go off of for the 9 months he was there with no reasons given why he quit, what do we owe you? You're someone who quit the Secret Service, had 3 unsuccessful congressional runs, and after sucking up to Trump for 4 years, you get a job in the administration, and now you want to be a hothead and virtue signal podcasters for criticizing the administration that let us down with the Epstein files that literally you were in charge of. You were second in command to Kash Patel. You literally told us in this video we're about to show you in a podcast in 2023 on your show before you got into the administration that we should not stop talking about Jeffrey Epstein and the Epstein files. Bongino gets extremely tense like no one's ever seen him before. His eyes pop out of his head. He says he killed himself.
Listen, that Jeffrey Epstein story is a big deal. Please do not let that story go. Keep your eye on this. Catherine Rumler, we need to keep the heat on this case, folks. There are a lot of people who are knee deep in the Washington swamp who are not telling you the truth about serious allegations out there that Epstein may have had video and audio of people out there doing things they shouldn't have been doing. And you should be asking yourself the question, how is it that all these people, the CIA director, the Obama fixer, Bill Clinton, all intersected paths with Jeffrey Epstein? Jeffrey Epstein isn't with us anymore, and nobody seems to want to talk about it. Outside of a few entrepreneurial media outlets saying, hey, this is a big deal.
He killed himself. You want me to I've seen the whole file. He killed himself.
So how do you explain that one? Someone who helped Trump get elected, used his podcast and his platform to promote these things that the agenda was supposed to be about with MAGA, and just to find out that these people, when they actually get power, they completely capitulate and do a 180 on everything they told us prior to that. And it goes back to the whole uniparty consensus that both of these parties, they'll do one thing and they'll tell you the exact opposite every single time. And more times than not, they both actually agree with each other because they're protecting the establishment. Now, Bongino, who's been a Fed since like 1990 when he was a Secret Service agent, I don't know if they have blackmail on him. I'm sure obviously there's things he can't say that he did see in his possession of power. But based on everything I'm seeing here, I'm speculating that the Trump administration realized that Bongino would probably be more useful back in his show as a podcaster rather than being the deputy FBI director, which they could easily replace because they're losing the information war so badly. Meaning the Trump administration, MAGA, the establishment, they feel like they probably need to get Bongino back in the podcast field. The first thing he does, he goes after Matt Gaetz, he goes after Dave Smith and has these long feuds on X that make no sense. I mean, what is he arguing? This guy literally has nothing to show for, and now he's going to come after the people who have been actually looking for the truth and have been risking their lives on their own platforms to say the truth and say the things that he's not even able to when he had the position of power and the authority to do so. I completely stand with Dave Smith and Matt Gaetz in this. What have they done wrong? They have risked their platform and their reputation to speak up against Israel and the Epstein files because the administration has not delivered on their promises and is not making this country great again. But oh, watch out, you got Big Bad Dan coming through. If you look at the replies to Dave Smith and Matt Gaetz, you can tell this is so boomer coded. Like, this guy is so deluded from what's going on in the social media world. Like, you can tell he's got no chance of competing. I mean, yeah, he's got 5 million followers, but he has no idea how to argue back and forth. Like, he has no substance. You can just tell he's been a Fed his entire life. And when he tries to talk with authentic people, it just makes him look like more of a than he already is. And I want to show this clip real quick. It's a South Park parody. It's not actually South Park, but if Dan Bongino was in South Park, this is exactly what he would be like. Here it is.
Hey, Smith, you libertarian black pillar clown. Your family must be thrilled their last name's Smith. I can smell the copium from here. Now go get your shine box like I told you. Lesson over.
And what's funny is what Dan Bongino has done after he's obviously gotten ratioed and his takes have been massively unpopular, he started blocking people, black pillars and the woke right, whatever he wants to call them. He starts blocking people like Owen Schroyer, he blocked me, he blocked all the people that are critical of Israel, the usual suspects. He blocked me today. I didn't do anything offensive objectively. I mean, you guys tell me. All I did was recite a quote that he said, which I'm about to show you. He said, "The greatest cause in my heart is the defense of Israel."
That's right. What cause is dear to your heart?
Cause is dear to my Israel, defense of Israel.
So his words, not mine. And I said that back to him, got 2,000 likes, and sure enough, I go to his profile just after that, and he blocks me. So that's your free speech warrior of Rumble right there. He actually owns a share of Rumble and has one of the largest shows on there. He's all about free speech, and that's his message, right? You know, pro-Trump, America first, free speech, and turns out he's about none of those things. So what a fraud. It really shows how out of touch he is, because little does he know this is going to come back to bite him and stain his reputation for the rest of his career. It doesn't matter what him and the Trump officials do, they will be remembered as the administration that were part of one of the biggest cover-ups of a foreign blackmail operation in American history. First of all, how do you defend the overall handling of the Trump administration's cover-up? Because if you do, you're completely naive. It started with Pam Bondi slipping up and saying there were files. Then they said they didn't exist. Then they said, oh wait, we have them, but it's going to take some time. Then they said it's all Bill Clinton. Then they had a deadline to reach because Thomas Massie forced them to make a vote on the files to be released. And sure enough, we're 3 weeks after they were supposed to be released on the 21st of December, and they legally have not met the deadline. Only released 1% of the files, and they've basically all been redacted. So think logically here. This isn't some 8D chess. Trump isn't maneuvering this information to blackmail certain leaders and the globalists and all this. Like, no, think down to earth. They are not releasing this information, and they're not doing it according to the law, and that's for a certain reason. And the biggest excuse to say, oh, well, if there's something on Trump, the Biden administration would release it. They burned the files the 4 years they had it. Okay, well, who's in charge now, and who was in charge when Jeffrey Epstein was in custody and died? The first Trump administration, and now there's the current Trump administration. In between that was 4 years of Biden. Maybe something happened, but in general, this is one of the biggest cover-ups in American history because this involves the sitting president, other presidents, and political leaders and powerful figures all throughout the world that are being protected. And people like Dan Bongino, whose job was to expose this information and said that he would do this. And even on Tim Pool's podcast, here's another clip from 2023, saying that Jeffrey Epstein was a foreign asset or a foreign agent for a country in the Middle East. I mean, try to guess which one.
A year and a half after that, I'm in a green room at Fox, and I'm not going to say who because they didn't give me permission to share it, but well, the short story, but I don't know who they are. It says, you know, Epstein's an intelligence asset for people in the Middle East, right? I'm like, no, I didn't know that. I'm like, you sure of that? The person, let's say, is like, I'm absolutely sure of that. That he's either a witting or unwitting asset, intelligence asset, meaning his plane and that island, the cameras, there's a big assumption out there that these videotapes were exclusively in the custody of Epstein. That's a huge mistake. The reason they wanted this story to go away is because there's an assumption like, oh yeah, Epstein had him. No, he wasn't the only one who had him, according to this source. These assets, that's why this blackmail story makes so much sense. Which Middle Eastern countries they are, I don't know. But this person, who's a very, very good reporter, I mean, aces, right? Swore Epstein was either a witting or unwitting intelligence asset, and they may have had his plane wired up, and they're the ones who have all this stuff. So the point is, to sum it up, how do you know some of these countries aren't going to some of these power players who aren't making decisions because, hey, you wouldn't want this video out there, right?
And lastly, I want to say about Dan Bongino, it's really ironic that he says he's coming after the black pillars when he's an agent of the Matrix himself, and he's really coming after the red pillars, the people who are seeking the truthful information. But in reality, he's part of the blue pill. He's an agent of the Matrix. He's not a patriot. He's a traitor. He's Israel first. He's a fraud. He's a TV host who doesn't believe in anything that he actually says. Proof is in the pudding. And I encourage everyone to politely remind Dan on his Twitter everything that he said, because that's all you have to do. The contradictions are clear, and call out this hypocrisy, because I can't do it anymore. He blocked me. So it's up to you guys now. It's up to the other black pillars to carry out the mission. Operation Expose Bongino. Bongino has a world of hell coming his way if he thinks he can compete in this social media environment today with his track record.